Hello, welcome to the English Story channel. In this story, I'll tell you about my journey as an English teacher. If you're ready, let's get started. Part 1: My childhood and first English lessons. Hello, my name is Aisha. I am an English teacher. Today I want to tell you my story, and also the story of my students. This is a long journey. It is about life, language, and learning. I was born in a small city in Turkey. My family was simple. My father was a driver, and my mother was a housewife. They always worked hard for me and my brother. When I was a child, we did not have computers, tablets, or smartphones. Life was simple, and sometimes difficult. In primary school, I was a curious child. I liked reading Turkish books. But English was not in my life yet. Then, when I was about 10 years old, my school started English lessons. I still remember the first day. The teacher came into the class with a big smile. She said, "Hello, students," and wrote, "Hello," on the board. It was a new word for me. I looked at it again and again. It was so different from Turkish. At first, I was shy. I did not want to say words in English, because I was afraid of mistakes. But my teacher always said, it is okay to make mistakes. Mistakes help you learn. So I started to repeat after her. I said, "Hello, my name is Aisha." The whole class laughed, not in a bad way, but because it was something new. When I went home, I told my mother. I said, "Hello, my name is Aisha." She smiled and clapped. She did not understand English, but she was happy for me. That moment was important for me. I understood that language is not only grammar and vocabulary. Language is connection. It is about people. After that, I wanted to learn more. I wrote small English words in my notebook. I drew pictures next to them. For example, I wrote cat and drew a cat. I wrote apple and drew an apple. It was fun for me. But sometimes I felt frustrated. English words looked strange. The spelling was difficult. For example, school had SCH, but we only said SK. I asked, why? My teacher laughed and said, English is a special language. Sometimes it is not logical. But that is okay. You can still learn. At the age of 13, I got my first English dictionary. It was small and blue. I carried it everywhere. When I saw a new English word, I opened the dictionary. Sometimes I even read the dictionary like a book. Of course, I did not understand everything. But I enjoyed the process. Another important step was music. I liked listening to songs in English. I did not understand the meaning at first. But I repeated the sounds. Slowly, I recognized words. I remember the first time I understood the word love in a song. I felt so proud. Movies also helped me. I watched American films on TV. At the beginning, I only read the Turkish subtitles. But later, I tried to listen more. Sometimes I closed my eyes and just listened to the English. I thought, one day, I will understand everything. That dream gave me energy. My family supported me. They did not know English, but they always said, you can do it. Study hard, and you will be successful. So in my childhood, English was not easy, but it was exciting. I learned step by step. I discovered that learning a language is like building a house. You start with small bricks, and slowly you make something big. Part 2: My university life and dream to teach. At high school, English became more serious. We had more lessons, more books, and more exams. Sometimes it was stressful, but I still loved English. I felt different when I spoke it. It was like opening a new door. When I was 16, I had an English teacher who changed my life. Her name was Selma. She spoke English fluently. She told us about her trips to England. She showed us pictures of London, Big Ben, and the red buses. I looked at those pictures and thought, I want to see the world. I want to speak with people from other countries. Selma teacher also told us something important. She said, if you really love English, maybe you can become a teacher one day. Those words stayed in my mind. At 18, I finished high school. It was time to choose a university. Many of my friends wanted to study engineering, medicine, or business. But I had only one dream, English teaching. My parents were surprised. They said, "Are you sure? Teachers do not earn much money." But I said, "Yes, I am sure. This is my passion." So I started university in the Department of English Language Teaching. The first year was very difficult. All the lessons were in English. I felt lost. Sometimes I wanted to cry. But I remembered my childhood teacher's words, "It is okay to make mistakes." So I did not give up. In university, I met many students like me. Some were very good at English. Some were not so good. But we all wanted to improve. We studied grammar, phonetics, teaching methods, and literature. At first, I thought grammar was boring. But later, I saw that grammar is like a map. It shows you the way. One of the best parts of university was speaking clubs. We met every week to practice English conversation. We talked about music, food, movies, and culture. At first, I was shy. But slowly, I became more confident. I learned to express my ideas. During my third year, I had a chance to study abroad for one semester. I went to England, to a small city called Brighton. It was my first time outside Turkey. Everything was new. The people, the food, the weather. At first, it was difficult. The British accent was hard to understand. People spoke fast. I often said, "Sorry, can you repeat that?" But step by step, I improved. Living in England taught me something important. English is not only a subject, it is a living language. It is in the streets, in the shops, in the buses. I saw children speaking it naturally. I thought, one day, my students will also speak like this. After university, I graduated with good grades. I felt ready. My dream was clear. I wanted to be a teacher. Not only a teacher of English words, but also a teacher of courage, patience, and dreams. Part 3: My first students and my first lessons. After university, I was very excited. I had a diploma in my hand, but also a big question in my mind. Can I really be a good teacher? I knew English, I studied hard, but teaching is not only about knowledge. Teaching is about people, emotions, and communication. My first job was in a small language school. The school was in my city, not very big. The classrooms were simple, with white walls and old desks. I still remember the smell of chalk and books. When I entered the classroom for the first time, my heart was beating very fast. My first students were children. They were around 10 or 11 years old. Some of them were smiling, some were shy, some were noisy. I looked at their eyes and thought, they are waiting for me. They want me to guide them. In the first lesson, I wrote on the board, "Hello, my name is Aisha. I am your English teacher." Then I turned to the students and said slowly, "Hello, what is your name?" At first, they were silent. Then one brave boy said, "My name is Ali." The class clapped. That was the first victory. Step by step, more children spoke. "My name is Elif. My name is Hassan." Every time they spoke, I smiled and said, "Very good." I wanted them to feel safe, because I knew the feeling of being afraid to make mistakes. Of course, not everything was easy. Some students talked too much in Turkish. Some did not want to participate. I felt nervous. I thought, maybe I am not a good teacher. But then I remembered my own teachers. They were patient with me. So I also tried to be patient. I started to use games. For example, we played memory cards. I showed a picture of a cat and asked, "What is this?" A student said, "It is a cat." Then I showed a picture of a dog, a book, an apple. The students enjoyed it. They laughed and competed. Suddenly, the classroom was full of energy. I also used songs. Children love music. I played a simple English song: head, shoulders, knees, and toes. We all stood up and touched our heads, shoulders, knees, and toes. It was fun. The students learned new words without stress. After a few weeks, I started to see progress. The shy students were speaking more. They said, "Good morning, teacher," when they came into the class. They said, "See you tomorrow," when they left. These small sentences made me very happy. One day, something special happened. I asked the class, "How are you today?" A little girl named Zainab answered, "I am happy." It was the first full English sentence from her. The whole class clapped, and Zainab smiled proudly. I will never forget that moment. Teaching children also taught me something. I understood that every student is different. Some learn fast, some slow. Some need more practice, some need more encouragement. As a teacher, I had to look at each child as a unique person. After 1 year in the language school, I felt more confident. I was not only teaching words, I was building bridges. I was helping children open a door to the world. At the end of the year, the parents came to the school for a small event. The children sang English songs and introduced themselves in English. The parents were surprised and proud. One mother said to me, "Teacher, before your lessons, my son was afraid of English. Now he likes it." Those words touched my heart deeply. That day, I understood. This is the reason I became a teacher. Not money, not status, but the smile of a child who learns something new. Part 4: My students' learning journeys. After some years, I started teaching not only children, but also teenagers and adults. Every student had a different story. Every student had a different reason to learn English. I want to tell you about some of them. One of my students was Amit. He was a high school boy, 15 years old. At first, he did not like English. He said, "Teacher, why'd I need English? I will never go abroad." He only wanted to play football after school. But I knew he was smart. I tried to find a way to motivate him. One day, I showed him the website of his favorite football team. The news was in English. I said, "If you know English, you can read this." His eyes became big. From that day, he started to pay more attention. Step by step, he learned, and 1 year later, he even wrote short English posts about football on social media. Another student was Fatma. She was 35 years old, a mother of 2 children. She came to evening classes because she wanted to help her kids with English homework. At first, she was very shy. She always said, "Teacher, I am too old to learn." But I told her, it is never too late. She studied with her children at home. Sometimes, her son corrected her pronunciation. She laughed, but she continued. After 6 months, she could understand simple stories. She was so proud. She told me, "Now I can study with my kids. We learn together." Then there was Elif, a university student. She wanted to study abroad. She was hardworking, but sometimes she was nervous. She worried too much about grammar. She always asked, "Teacher, is this sentence correct? Or this one?" I told her, "Do not be afraid of mistakes. Communication is more important than perfection." She listened to me. She joined speaking clubs. After 1 year, she applied for Erasmus and went to Spain. She wrote me emails in English from there. That was a very happy moment for me. I also remember a very quiet boy, Yusuf. He almost never spoke in class. He was afraid of everything. One day, I asked him to read a simple dialogue with me. His hands were shaking, but slowly, he read, "Hello, how are you? The whole class clapped. After that, he started to speak more. At the end of the year, he gave a short presentation about his favorite video game. His face was shining with pride. These students showed me something. Every journey is different. Some students need motivation, some need confidence, some need practice. But all of them can succeed if they try. I always told my students, English is like a long road. Sometimes the road is easy, sometimes it is difficult. But if you keep walking, you will reach your goal. Over the years, I saw many successes. Students passed exams, traveled abroad, found jobs, or simply spoke to a tourist in English. Each success, big or small, made me feel proud. Because teaching is not only about grammar and vocabulary. It is about changing lives. Part 5: Struggles, Mistakes, and Successes. Of course, learning English is not always easy. My students and I had many struggles. Sometimes they felt tired, sometimes they wanted to quit. I also made mistakes as a teacher. But these moments taught us important lessons. One common problem was pronunciation. Turkish students often had difficulty with the sounds, th, in words like thank you or think. They said, thank you, or sink. I told them, do not worry. Many people in the world have accents. The important thing is communication. Still, we practiced. We put our tongues between our teeth and said slowly, th, thank you. The class laughed a lot. But laughing helped them relax. Another struggle was grammar. For example, many students mixed past tense and present tense. They said, yesterday I go to school. I corrected them gently. Yesterday I went to school. At first, they repeated the same mistake many times. But I knew this was normal. Learning a language takes time. Sometimes students lost motivation. They said, teacher, English is too hard. I cannot do it. In those moments, I told them my own story. I said, when I was young, I also wanted to give up. But I continued step by step. If I can do it, you can too. My words gave them hope. I also remember one mistake from myself. In my first year, I tried to teach too much grammar in one lesson. The students looked bored and confused. After class, I thought, what went wrong? I understood that teaching is not only about giving information. It is about making learning interesting. From that day, I started to use more activities, games, and real-life examples. Success always came after struggles. One of my proudest moments was when my students prepared a small English play. They acted like tourists, shopkeepers, and travelers. They made mistakes, of course. But they were brave. The parents watched and clapped. The students felt like stars. That day, I thought, yes, English can be fun. Another success was exam results. Some of my students wanted to enter good high schools or universities. They studied hard with me. When they passed the exams, they called me and said, teacher, thank you. You helped me. Their happiness was also my happiness. Mistakes and struggles are part of the journey. They are not the end. They are the steps to success. I always tell my students, do not be afraid of mistakes. Every mistake is a lesson. Part 6: My classroom today and my message for the future. Today, I am still teaching English. I have many students, children, teenagers, adults. My classroom is full of colors. On the walls, there are posters of world maps, vocabulary charts, and pictures of English-speaking countries. I want my students to feel that English is alive, not only in books. Every morning, when I enter the class, I say, good morning, everyone, and my students answer, good morning, teacher. This small ritual makes the class warm and friendly. In my lessons, I try to use many methods. Sometimes we read texts. Sometimes we play games. Sometimes we watch short videos. I believe that variety is important. Every student learns in a different way. Technology also helps a lot today. When I was a child, I did not have internet or smartphones. But now, my students can listen to English songs, watch English videos, and even talk to people from other countries online. I always tell them, use technology to practice. It is your friend. Still, the most important thing is not technology, but attitude. A positive attitude makes learning easier. I try to give my students courage. I tell them, do not compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with yesterday. Are you better today? That is success. Sometimes, my students ask me, Teacher, why do we need English? I answer, because English connects you to the world. With English, you can travel, study, work, and make friends from other countries. English is a bridge. When I look back at my journey, I feel proud. I was once a shy little girl, afraid to say, hello. Now I am a teacher who helps others say, hello, with confidence. This is a beautiful circle of life. My dream for the future is simple. I want to continue teaching. I want to see more students smile when they speak English. I want them to believe in themselves. So my message to all students is this: learning English is not always easy. Sometimes it is difficult, sometimes it is slow. But never stop. Take small steps. Enjoy the process. One day, you will look back and say, yes, I did it.